12,000 feet up in the Bolivian Andes sits a block of stone cut with the precision of a machine tool. No steel existed here, no iron chisels, no motorized drills, and yet the corners meet at exact right angles. Some of these Andesite blocks weigh over 100 tons, quarried from a source miles away with no wheels to move them. Every notch on one interlocking block matches the notch on another, almost as if they were stamped from a single mold. Researchers still argue over one basic question: how did a Bronze Age society achieve tolerances we associate with industrial machinery? This is Puma Punku, a ruined temple complex beside Lake Titicaca, and its stones have outlasted every explanation offered for them. By the end of this film, you will understand the leading scientific theory and why it still cannot answer every question these stones raise. Around 2,000 years ago, a Highland society began transforming this windswept plateau into a center of ceremony and power. They left no written language behind, only pottery, stonework, and the outline of a city built to impress anyone who entered it. Archaeologists call them the Tiwanaku, and at their height, they controlled trade routes stretching across the Altiplano into modern Peru and Chile. Their capital sat above the tree line, where crops fail easily and the air holds nearly a third less oxygen than sea level. Somehow they engineered raised agricultural fields that trapped heat overnight, protecting crops from frost in one of the harshest farming climates on Earth. That same ingenuity, historians believe, is what eventually turned toward stone, and toward Puma Punku's strange, exacting architecture. A retaining wall here, a platform there, ordinary temple elements. Until you notice the cuts are almost unnervingly clean. The most famous stones are called H-blocks, named for their shape, and dozens of them share nearly identical dimensions. Modern engineers have measured these blocks and found variations of only a few millimeters across surfaces spanning several feet. For decades, mainstream archaeologists offered a straightforward answer: stone hammers, copper and bronze chisels, and enormous amounts of patient labor. Then researchers noticed something the simple explanation struggled to address. The interior angles of the H-blocks are unusually consistent. If these stones were carved freehand, one at a time, you would expect small human errors to accumulate from block to block. Instead, several blocks appear interchangeable, suggesting the builders worked from a standardized template or a shared measuring system. That single detail reopened a question archaeologists thought they had already closed. Some observers went further, proposing the cuts were too perfect for hand tools at all, hinting at technology history has no record of. Popular theories throughout the 20th century pointed toward lost civilizations, or even extraterrestrial visitors leaving evidence in stone. There is no verified historical or physical evidence supporting an extraterrestrial origin for Puma Punku, and no credible researcher in the field endorses it. But the underlying puzzle those theories exploited was real. How do you cut stone this precisely without modern equipment? The answer researchers eventually found lay not in exotic technology, but in something more patient: process, repetition, and specialized abrasives. Andesite is a volcanic rock nearly as hard as steel, which makes its smooth, flat surfaces especially difficult to explain. Experimental archaeologists tested this directly, using stone hammers and mineral abrasives like sand mixed with water to slowly grind flat faces. The process was brutally slow, but it worked, proving human hands could achieve these results given enough time and coordinated labor. Wooden templates, cords, and plumb lines likely let masons check angles precisely, without needing metal instruments at all. That explains uniform shapes, but the transport question remained just as difficult, and just as unresolved. The largest stones at the wider Tiwanaku complex weigh well over 100 tons, quarried from sites many miles from the temple. No wheeled vehicles have been found here, and the Andes offered no horses or oxen before European contact. Researchers now believe massive labor forces used ramps, log rollers, and woven ropes to drag these stones across cleared earthen paths. Llama caravans could not have hauled such weight, so human muscle, organized at enormous scale, appears to be the real answer. That means Puma Punku was not built by lost technology, but by a civilization capable of extraordinary large-scale coordination. Coordination on this level required something else archaeologists rarely credit ancient societies with: precise long-distance planning and centralized authority. Excavations reveal drainage channels built into the stonework, engineered to move water efficiently through a site prone to seasonal flooding. Some blocks contain copper and bronze clamps set into carved channels used to lock adjoining stones together during earthquakes. That detail alone reshaped the debate, because metal clamps require metallurgy, and metallurgy requires organized mining and smelting operations. Chemical analysis of these clamps shows a mixture of copper, arsenic, and nickel, a specific alloy recipe the Tiwanaku appear to have developed themselves. Suddenly, the story shifts from mystery to engineering achievement, built on real metallurgical knowledge rather than borrowed or unexplained technology. Yet one contradiction still troubles researchers. Why does construction quality vary so dramatically within the same complex? Some walls are rough and uneven, while blocks only a few feet away are cut with near-industrial precision. One leading theory suggests the finest stones were reserved for the most sacred structures, built by the most skilled specialist masons. Another theory suggests construction was never finished, interrupted mid-project, leaving some sections polished and others abandoned in a rougher state. Radiocarbon dating and architectural analysis place major construction at Puma Punku roughly between the years 500 and 600 of the Common Era. That timeline places these stones firmly within the first millennium, built by a documented Andean civilization, not a vanished or mythical one. Still, the question of exactly how they measured such fine tolerances without modern instruments has never been fully resolved. Around the year 1100, the Tiwanaku civilization collapsed with striking speed, and Puma Punku fell silent. Ice core samples from nearby glaciers point to a severe, decades-long drought as the likely cause of that collapse. Crop failure on this scale would have shattered the food surplus that let thousands of skilled laborers work on stone instead of farming. Within a generation or two, the population scattered, and the knowledge behind these techniques appears to have been lost with them. No later Andean culture, including the Inca centuries afterward, ever reproduced stonework with quite this level of interlocking precision. The Inca admired these ruins so deeply that later legends describe Puma Punku as the birthplace of humanity itself. When Spanish colonizers arrived centuries later, they found the site already in ruins, its builders long gone and unremembered by name. Colonial-era treasure hunters, and later 20th century builders, quarried Puma Punku's stones for their own construction projects, destroying countless blocks forever. What survives today is only a fragment of the original complex, scattered and incomplete after centuries of looting and reuse. That single fact means every theory about Puma Punku is built on a damaged, partial record. We may never know how many H-blocks once existed, or whether the most precise examples we have are typical or exceptional. Modern laser scanning projects are now digitally reconstructing the site, block by block, before more evidence disappears. Early results confirm the standardized dimensions researchers suspected, adding weight to the template theory rather than the myth of impossible technology. What remains unverified is exactly how the builders achieved such consistency across dozens of separate stones, cut over an unknown span of years. No tool marks conclusively prove one single method, and no written record survives to describe the process in the builder's own words. The strongest evidence today points to skilled human masons, standardized templates, abrasive grinding, and centuries of accumulated technical knowledge. That conclusion is less dramatic than lost technology, but arguably more remarkable because it was achieved by people, not by mystery. It means a Highland society, without metal tools stronger than bronze, engineered precision modern visitors still struggle to believe. And it means we came remarkably close to losing that achievement entirely. buried under looting, drought, and centuries of silence. The final honest answer is this: we know how they could have done it, but not exactly how they did. Puma Punku's stones remain standing, exact and unexplained in their finer details, waiting for a technique no living record preserves. Which explanation do you find more convincing? Patient human skill, or something we still don't fully understand? Tell us in the comments and subscribe to Arcanum Studio for more evidence-based investigations into history's unsolved mysteries.